Oh, another baseball reference before I die? The baseball reference is just before I die. Oh. You wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It doesn't feel quite like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on. The AC is still rattling. The refrigerator's still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone, and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You open the fridge. That sounds heavenly. The bag is still there. You take a closer look at it. If it's soup, then its color and texture are off. Yeah, 17 hours of sleep? Oh my gosh. You pull the cork out, take a whiff. You recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it nauseating. But now it's almost... No. Not almost. It is enticing. Let's drink it. If I can take a chance to put the stove on. There's no stove! I'm gonna drink it because, you know, she's gonna get hungry again and I'd rather not attack another person. So I'm gonna drink it. Add some spices. Well, there's nothing there, just the blood. It's already salty. Yeah, it's already well salted. It's already seasoned. And apparently... Okay, this is gonna sound really weird, why I remember this, but I remember there was an episode of Tyra. Do you remember the Tyra show? She did this one about people who identify as vampires out in the real world. And she brought this guy on, and he's considered like a vampire king or whatever in like his community. And she asked him about this. She asked, well, what does blood taste like? I mean, does it depend? And he said, well, yeah, it depends on how much iron is in someone has had in their blood and things like that. So I guess, you know, depending on someone's diet, that can affect the taste of their blood as well. So that's interesting. I don't know why I remembered that, but yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna drink it. It feels wrong, but right now there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes like shit. It's coppery thick and clings to your tongue and the insides of your mouth like a film of dirt. You swallow hard regardless. Yeah, it was probably like rat blood or something that was in there, or someone cheap. They're not gonna let a person low on the totem pole drink the good stuff. The taste is foul, but somehow you kind of want more of it. As you take a second sip, sucking the blood out of the bag, you feel something pull on your insides. You double over. You're going to barf. You instinctively cover your mouth, looking for a place to vomit. Before you find it, a dark red wave washes over your hand and fingers. It hits the floor, spattering in a huge, thick drops. You keep heaving for a moment longer. Nothing is coming out. No blood. Not bile, not even spit. But still something in your body wants to push it out. Push it all out. Every last drop. Karma for the Rat King. Ugh. I only did that because the game wouldn't give me a good ending unless I was an ass, so that's what I did. As you recover, trying to wipe droplets of regurgitated blood from your dress, you hear the lock click and see the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again, that predatory look, like a hawk on a hunt. But somehow more relaxed tonight. It's like a tamed hawk, maybe. Good evening. How was... He notices the spatter, your red hand, the sick look on your face. He barely contains a smirk. Oh, was the catering unable to satisfy your exquisite taste? Apologies. Offer him a drink. Was that really blood? That was foul. I'm going to offer him a drink because I just want to see what it is. I'm not going to tell him that it's foul because he can probably tell. And obviously it's blood. You can't tell me you can drink this. He takes the bag off your hands and pours all the contents into his mouth. He closes his eyes, theatrically savoring the taste. When he opens them a few seconds later, he looks sharper, energized. I knew you were going to give it. Oh, don't make fun of me, Audrey. Not all of us are picky eaters. Come on, we've got places to be. I should have some water and a towel in the back of the car so you can clean yourself up. The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside the door of the cramped room you have spent the day in. The man motions to it, politely, but with a stern look on his face. Rush the stranger, get inside the car, hijack the car. I mean, I'm gonna get inside. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not striking out again. I'm not striking out. It's not like I have a choice, right? Do you guys think she looks like a bit like Winona Ryder? Something about her face makes me think, not Winona Ryder, Winona Judd. Not Winona Judd. Ashley Judd. Winona Judd is the singer. Ashley is her actress sister. Cousin. Oh, okay, no idea who that is. Okay, never mind then. Maybe when I'm editing this for YouTube, I'll just put up a little picture of her in this point. Ashley Judd, maybe, yeah. I just googled her and yes, kinda. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's something about her face that reminds me of some actress, but... Correct, but your cooperation is appreciated nevertheless. You take the back seat again. The doors lock. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Oh, Ashley Judd. Yeah, Winona Ryder was in Bram Stoker's Dracula. But she dated Johnny Depp back in the day. So yeah, that's Winona Ryder. Ashley Judd is a different actress. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming and the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. You become restless. This is essentially a kidnapping. Whatever this guy says about its purpose, it doesn't change the fact that you're being held against your will, and you're not used to following orders when you can't delegate them to somebody else. You feel a need to get a semblance of control over the situation, so you decide to prove yourself useful. I know people in high places. I have a worthwhile skill set. I can get you a lot of money. I'm gonna say I have a worthwhile skill set. Just because, I don't think he would be impressed by the other two answers, frankly. Listen, I'm an investment advisor, and I have a lot of experience in fintech. Whatever your organization is, it might find use for me. I don't even have any idea what fintech is, and honestly, I don't care to find out. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Qadir is very, technologically, well, he's not as up to date. Like, he uses a flip phone still. In Shadows of New York, at least. No, and there are spammers in the yeah, be gone, bot. Yeah, yeah, I don't know if you can get rid of them or something, but yeah, they're bots. Just ignore them. A short pause. I'll be frank. Currently, you're in no position to offer anybody anything. The sooner you accept that, the better. Curse him out, call him a nobody, ridicule his lack of ambition. Okay, so I am a Ventru. And the thing about Ventrus is that they do... They have their own kind of ranking within their own clan, so they do care about things like order and status as well. And so I'm not going to curse him out because that's not part of that's not aligned with the clan's beliefs, I think. Because you have to, because part of being a venture is your presentation and how you present yourself. So I'm not going to call him a nobody, but I am going to ridicule his lack of ambition just because that's something that's important to her, and it's been important to her clearly because she was in the corporate world. Big words from somebody's dedicated errand boy. I wonder if you've ever achieved anything. You pushed the right buttons. He gives you an absolutely furious stare through the rearview mirror. For a second, you spot a crack in his professional demeanor. Oh, snap is right. You don't know anything about me. You have no idea where I'm coming from or where I'm headed. For a few seconds, he quietly fumes. Your attitude won't help you make any friends, and in your current position, you definitely need someone. Consider that, preferably in silence. That dull hunger strikes again. The powerlessness hurts. You are used to people listening to you, or pretending to care about your demands, at least. Okay, shush. The driver doesn't play that game, and it annoys you to no end. Oh, this is the, Elysium. I remember this from Shadows of New York. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York, that much is certain. Queens, maybe. After me. No sudden movements, please. You approach a nice-looking building that houses a 2-story gallery called the Art Hole. Oh yes, this is the Elysium from Shadows of New York. 2 large men in suits flank the door on both sides, and they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite. Unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. This reminds you of your company meetings. You, the only woman in the room, silently judged not on her merits but her standing on the list, passed in clandestine email threads between your male coworkers, until HR found out, that is. Ooh. Not the most pleasant experience, but there's no denying it taught you resilience. When others would cower, you would straighten up. When others would turn their gaze, you meet the eyes of the gallery's guests with confidence. Oh! Good evening, Qadir, and to you, child. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers, you being brought here against your will. For what purpose? Fortunately, Helen, her name is Helen, I already know that, but yeah, Helen is actually the one in charge, so yeah, it's not just asshole men. The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss. Excuse me, what? What is this about? Okay, I'm gonna say good evening, miss, because, you know, we just had this characterization of where Amanda in the game would straighten up and she's resilient, so I'm gonna have her be resilient. Good evening, miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helen Panhard, child of Michaela. No, we don't like Helen too much either, but... Thank you, my sheriff, but I'm capable of introducing myself. She's somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. Yeah, so in Bloodlines, you were, the other Vampire the Masquerade game, you were created by another vampire against, without approval from the Camarilla. So in that game, the Prince of Los Angeles decides to take you out on as his sire, as, like, you know, his responsibility at first, and your sire is killed. It's because it's a masquerade breach. That's why Amanda would have to be killed. That's one of the rules of society. You have to keep everything secretive. So the reason Julia in Shadows of New York didn't have this problem is because her sire, Karen, it was planned for Karen to sire someone, and they were looking at Julia as a potential. So yeah, it's just because it's a masquerade breach that it has to be taken care of. But like I said, that's what the Nosferatu said in Bloodlines. They said, don't think of it as killing, think of it as upholding the masquerade. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. I don't understand. Remain silent. Embrace, is that a euphemism? I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say remain silent. Because I just feel like the other two would just make me look a bit like an idiot, or that I don't understand what's going on when I, as the player, do. So... You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. It feels like you're out of your depth here. Shall we begin? You are about to be judged by the court of New York City. Qadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe? Saying less to this royal bitch would be best. A trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. A reservation made in the private lounge of the patrician suggests this one's sire had plenty of resources to spend. However, they are apparently also well connected. I lost track of them. Despite some reservations, she offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force her compliance. You see? Granted, I do have the advantage of already knowing, of having played Shadows of New York, so I already know, but you see, Emily? Hashtag winning. That's right, Andre. Opening the door to the safe house tonight, I was greeted by a most disturbing sight of her drenched in regurgitated blood. Apparently the bagged supply we kept in the fridge was not to her liking. I don't know what that means. I don't know what implications are there, but, we'll see. The remark elicits a contemptuous chuckle from one of the gathered guests as they note the remains of the blood on your skirt. Oh, screw you. Some of us have, more, you know, higher taste palette standards. It was not an elegant sight, but that hardly matters, I suppose. Moving on. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged her to join me, which she did without struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. Smirk, so it can't be too bad. During our drive here, she showed me her fangs, metaphorically speaking, posturing as if we were equals, insulting me when it didn't work. You ill paladin. Exactly. I refrained from causing her physical harm, but I expect her ego might still be a bit bruised. He looks at you and flashes a nasty smile. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Qadir. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there is the matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Qadir picked you up from last night. Who were they? Sire, does it matter? A handsome businessman. I'm not gonna show her contempt. I'm gonna... Because, again, I feel like this is all just going to take me down a good or ill path, so I'm going to say handsome businessman. Because in Bloodlines, the prince decided not to punish you for the Masquerade breach, so I'm thinking if you cooperate, then that's going to be the case here. An entrepreneur. Acquaintance of my boss, I think. Good-looking, pale blue eyes and some gray in his hair. Charming. Abusive, cold son of a bitch. You feel tired and angry. This whole situation, spending the day in some underground parking lot, having to bear the looks of a room full of strangers, it's almost too much to take in stride. You know what? I like this because if, you know, we're gonna go down for whatever happened, might as well take the guy who did this to us down with us. That's what I think. There's no reason you should take it all in stride, but you do. Because there's one thing your professional career has taught you, it's that. All because of that asshole, whoever he was. He never even gave you a name or a card, nothing. That's weird. I mean, did, like, the conversation never come up? I feel like that's the most, you know, basic form of courtesy when you're meeting Oh, whatever. Well, Qadir, does that sound familiar? No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. Can I go now? What happens now? He talked to somebody. I'm gonna just stick to telling them the whole truth. So I'm gonna say he talks to somebody. He talked to somebody. That man, he talked to somebody at the restaurant before he left. I can't remember what he said, but he wasn't alone. Maybe that's a lead you can follow. Did he now? That's interesting. I do hope the proprietor won't stay mad at us for losing one of his staff. It's almost like he knows the waiter's fate is still bothering you and takes pleasure in pointing it out. Thank you for that observation. I will investigate it later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Qadir. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. My lover wants to kill us. I know, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I hate Qadir. Hey, you know what? Like I said, he just follows the rules, and you know what? That's just one of the rules. Like I said, it's a masquerade breach. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. You see? You see, he's relieved. Just because he's a rule follower doesn't mean he's a bad person. Relieve my ass. The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Qadir what all that talk of traditions and council was, when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie? Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. Oh, Sophie! She was in Shadows of New York. I kept wondering what the hell happened to her because she went missing in Shadows of New York and there was like no clue what had happened to her. So maybe we'll find out here. Okay, this is cool. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Qadir. We all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stain your hands tonight after all. Yeah, Sophie, she is the woman who sired the really insufferable guy that we meet at the church in Shadows of New York. But yeah, I remember her. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room the way you came, and you're left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Yeah, at this point, I'm not going to turn down any help. Well then, fledgling, you're in quite the pickle. What do you mean? What was that about? Maybe you'll tell me what the hell this is. I'm not going to show any weakness, I think. I think I'm just going to say, what do you mean? Yeah. Because I feel like, you know, implying that you're frazzled and stuff is going to show a sign of weakness, and I don't think that's in character with Amanda right now. What do you mean? I still don't understand what my crime is here. Poor thing. This really isn't your fault, but if you want to get out of here in one piece, you need to understand one crucial fact that seems to have eluded your grasp. Last night, you became a vampire. Okay, yes, thank you, Sophie. Wait, what? Oh yes, I am well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires? You're looking at them. They're us. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale. Really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness. And not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night, there's no denying it. And your breathing has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. Or tomato soup. The other voice just keeps saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" on repeat. I would immediately try to fly or jump really high or something. I would love to see it. I don't think anyone here has at least attempted it. Or at least turning into a bat. I think that's what gangrels can do. I mean, at least Beckett, one of the characters in Bloodlines, he could turn into a wolf. That would be cool. Gangrel is another clan, by the way. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Qadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you'll be cut down, as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and Qadir's complaints about your behavior won't influence her judgment. This society values docility. I mean, at this point, we've got no other choice, right? But she might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. Okay, I don't really like that. I think she's scheming, but yeah. We don't really have a choice at this point, do we? I am not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. Well, here's the thing. I get the feeling Ventrus are social climbers. And I get the feeling that that's what Sophie wants too, and maybe that's why she's offering this. So, I feel like with Amanda the character's backstory in corporate, she might actually work well with this. And that's actually, if you read the 48 Laws of Power, that's actually how you become powerful yourself, is if you make your master look good. So, I don't know why I brought that up. I don't know if that really makes sense at all, but that's what I'm going for. I'm just going to accept it. Just getting steam. You might be able to kill her later. You might be able to kill her later. Okay, sure. Alright, what happens if I agree? What if I refuse? How will you convince the prince? I'm gonna... What happens if I agree, or how will you convince the prince? I'm kind of leaning towards... yeah, I'm leaning towards what happens if I agree, or how will you convince the prince. That way you get more information about what's going on. Yeah. Okay, what happens if I agree? Suppose I say yes. What happens then? You survive. Hopefully. Or not, depending on the prince's whim. I'm giving you a chance, not a guarantee. Can you see her eyes, like, glowing slowly? Like, look closely at her eyes. They are, like, getting brighter and darker, like, flashing very slowly. I like that detail. I'm too scared to look into her eyes. But if you take me as your patron, I will be your guide in this new reality, and you will assist me, like a child would a sire. Okay, yeah, this is basically what happens to your character in the Bloodlines game. The prince takes you as your patron. He is your patron in that game too. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Qadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you. Sorry, I heard that whispering and that freaked me out. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. I'm taking it. Because you know what? Again, I feel like... I feel like that this character would actually do really well in the structure of the Camarilla. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Qadir, who does not smile back. Your waifu is coming with a sword! The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating, first and foremost. It's all ceremonial, I guess. Qadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight, I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. Their behavior since being embraced has been disagreeable, and that does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society. How have I been disagreeable? You know what? But yeah, Panhard, we don't like her very much. I mean, again, she's just... I mean, you are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. Guys, I just had a thought. What if Sophie is the one our sire was talking to? Like, what if Sophie... That would be so cool. That would be, like, sneaky. That's what I'm thinking right now, but... We'll see. Because, like, the sire said, I'll pay my debt, and then he must have had connections. I mean, because Sophie's in the Elysium, that means that she's a member of, you know, the court. So that would be cool. As our trusted sheriff pointed out, there can be only one course of action. Although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this. She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before. A somewhat plainly dressed, shy-looking man, whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that shall be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Qadir. You hear a scraping sound and see the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. Ah, shit. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. To outs, bottom of the ninth. Oh, another baseball reference before I die? This is nice. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you note just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. And he's out to bat. Again, the baseball references just before I die. Oh. You will not get another chance to speak up. Ask for mercy, escape the gallery, remain silent. I'm gonna ask for mercy. because that's what Sophie said. No, he doesn't like the Yankees, he likes the Mets. You make your choice. Spare me, please. Don't make me beg, god damn it. Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer? Qadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Ms. Langley? Yes, if I may. At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood of the room. The bored elite suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Qadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction. My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. And I understand you are volunteering to take this unruly child under your protection? How am I unruly? Yes, I am. I'm willing to give them a chance and prove to the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectations. I will take nothing less than their full cooperation, naturally. Whispers can be heard again. An incredulous voice or two. A hushed, just behead the fucker. Some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence! I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Ms. Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need. Yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you. Remain silent. Give me a chance to prove myself, or this wasn't part of the deal. I think I'm going to speak up. Give me a chance to prove myself. I'm not going to say this wasn't part of the deal because, I mean, I think it was. Sophie did make it clear, but that, she wasn't gonna tolerate it if you made her look bad, but what do you guys think? Okay, so Sophie is taking risk too. Yes, she is. Remain silent. Remain silent, okay. Because, I mean, the prince already thinks I'm unruly, so I might as well just be quiet in her presence. It's clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death. Or second death, and keeping silent. You decide it's for the best not to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this Eyes Wide Shut crowd. Okay, that's so... yeah, they made a reference to Eyes Wide Shut in Shadows of New York, too. The prince had a party, and it was based on the Eyes Wide Shut party scene. So, yeah, that's... The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant you what you ask. Let it be known. Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Okay, Clan of the Rose, so Sophie's probably a Toreador as well. I mean, that makes sense because she sired an artist. Or she sired an artist to be her child as well, so... Ms. Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction, if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla, substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Ms. Langley. Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, child? Amanda, Prince? Shouldn't I use a nickname? Will I even have the chance to use it? I'm gonna say I'm just gonna be respectful again because, again, she already thinks I'm unruly. I'm not a Lasombra, I'm a Ventrue. So... Amanda, Prince. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Amanda. Now, this evening proved to be even more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Qadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties. Is he still holding the sword over our head? Because that wasn't discussed, him putting the sword down. Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched. You will be judged. And, if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Amanda, I think we've both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. And memory of throwing up in the safe house is still fresh in your mind, but the idea that it could happen again is almost enough to reject the drink altogether. But there's no denying you want it, need it. I remember what Qadir said about your misadventure before getting in the car. Some of us have more delicate palates than others. Try to take a small sip, s'il vous plaît. At least she's understanding, okay. He pours it in 2 tall glasses. You can barely wait until he hands you the drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact that it's blood, you are certain of it, doesn't faze you this time. It's difficult to take just a sip. Even though the taste is as foul as before, you are tempted to down the whole glass in one go. Oh, so it's still foul. I wonder what she likes then. You wait before taking a second taste. You're glad you did. A feeling like heartburn signals you can't keep it down. You spit it back inside the glass. Sophie looks on, intrigued. Probably waiter blood. I'm not surprised. NYC caterers have very, very bourgeoisie ideas about what good blood should taste like. Well, you just need to keep trying. Men's blood? Maybe it's kind of like, when you drink alcohol, like you can't drink the really good stuff at first. You have to, drink like shit a little bit and then your palate will eventually get there. But I don't know. Does that have something to do with your sire? I'm pretty sure because, well, I mean, the rules differ depending on the vampire game, but in Vampire, yeah, Jonathan took on all of his sire's attributes in Vampire, so, but he wasn't picky about blood, but it probably has something to do with the sire. At Sophie's request, the concierge serves you 3 other variants of blood. The first 2 are as horrible and indigestible as before, both ending up back in the glass within moments of tasting them. Before the 3rd try, you're almost ready to throw the glass at the wall in frustration. But finally, this one's different. Instead of mud and decay, a surprisingly rich bouquet of taste. You feel blissfully at ease, and Sophie takes notice. Ah, there it is. Jacob, would you kindly let us know who the donor was? Leave the bottle, please. Okay. The concierge nods and leaves again. You take another sip, and another. You empty the glass. The dull feeling in your stomach and head starts subsiding, but you still want more. Sophie pours you another glass and refills hers. She takes a sip. You have a curiously specific taste, Amanda. Is it the clover notes, the traces of caffeine, or that bittersweet aftertaste of melancholy? It's like she's describing wine. So men, Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's like it is man's blood, Andre. I think you're right. It's man's blood. You taste nothing of the kind, but it doesn't matter. It's tasty, but not as delicious as it was last night. Not as intoxicating. It manages to silence the hunger somewhat, though. A hipster barista. Well, that's true because she did drink that waiter dry. I wonder what it is, though. Drinking blood puts you at ease. It is a strange realization. The man named Jacob comes back with a small card and leaves it with Sophie. She takes a quick look and passes it on to you. It's somebody's medical details. An office worker, male, Caucasian, 32 years old. Blood type ABRH+. Blue eyes, brown hair. No history of substance abuse. New Jersey native. Might one of those details be what makes the difference? So we just have to find all the people in New York who hate their jobs. Yeah, white office worker, male. So at least you're right about the men. I mean, both people that she drank were men. Men. It might be the blood type, I think, because ABRH, I've never heard that before. And AB positive, I think that's one of the rarer blood types, too. Now that we've picked the right bouquet for your palate, these documents should be useful in identifying your exact taste. Should they be 0RH plus or Joyzy Boys? Oh, she made a joke. But I believe you have more questions, no? Perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. How much do I have to drink? Where do you get blood? How will I know what I can drink? I think how much, personally, I mean, it's just until you're not hungry anymore. Where do you get blood? I mean, that's just from killing people. You know, you seduce and you find people on the street and you seduce them. How will I know? I think just to say how will I know what I am? Yeah, we are B positive. Yeah, we've donated blood, and Emily and I found out that we are B positive. Yeah, how will I know? These difficulties of mine, how do I navigate that? How will I know which kind of blood I can drink? It's a tricky question. I believe you will just have to trust your instinct on this. With time, you should be able to narrow down your particular preference. Blood that you reject, of course, is of no value to you, and it's a horrible waste. No amount of it will ever sate your hunger completely, but every little sip counts. If you're frugal or forced by the circumstances, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky and will tempt the beast that's part of our curse. It will take some time to find the right balance. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting, and we will explore this topic further, but you should be good for now. What will you expect of me? You mentioned a beast. What do you mean by hunting? Okay. What do you mean by hunting? I think we know exactly what she means. So, what do you think? What do you expect of me? Or you mentioned a beast. I kind of think what will you expect of me, but what do you guys think? Because right now I'm a bit more interested in what she wants us to do for her. Andrew, you say, what do you expect of me? Well, yeah, what do you expect of me? So now that I'm working for you, what are my responsibilities going to be like? Yeah, that seems a bit more in character with her. It's a bit more complicated than working for me. If I wished for a servant, there'd be easier ways to achieve that than risking the prince's chagrin at Elysium. You'll have to kiss her ass for a while at first, yeah. Well, we do owe her our life, or unlife, I guess. I can see potential in you that would have been wasted if I hadn't spoken up. Not to mention, it would pain me to witness a senseless final death. It always had. So here's the thing about Sophie. Benoit, that was the name of the insufferable guy that's also her child that you meet in the shadows of New York. Benoit is her sire as well. She kept him along because she appreciated his art, but after she got bored of his art, she just kind of abandoned him. That's some characterization for her. I don't know what that means. Maybe that might not be a bad thing in this circumstance for her to just get bored of us for a while. Once we get our own footing in the world, but yeah, that's just a little bit for him. That said, I will require that you defer to me in all things, but me being your mentor and superior also means I shall treat you as my loyal retainer and understudy. With me, you can go far. Without me and proper guidance, you would have become a clear danger to the Masquerade. That is why, with your sire gone, the prince wanted you out of the picture too. The concierge returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile, and leans in to whisper in her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told that the gallery is just about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. One of my apartments, so I guess she's just going to give us an apartment. Well, you need somewhere to sleep. You can't just be out and about. The smile she puts on could tip any negotiation toward her favor. Her words are like honey, and she makes it impossible to take your eyes off her. You are under her spell, momentarily. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, she drives a jalopy. A broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? I believe I started telling you a bit more about our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the Masquerade. As you might have gathered from us assembling at a niche gallery after closing time, our comings, goings, and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts, so that the vast majority of kind will remain. We remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Say, is that one television show about a vampire angel still popular? Oh, she's talking about Angel, I think, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer spinoff. You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a bit more dejected than before. Our clandestine ways help us to remain safe, allow us to explain away the occasional trip up to the rational minds of the 21st century humanity, and dictate much of our interactions with mortals. What's the risk? Is your driver a vampire too? Wait, what about my career then? I'm gonna ask about her career, just because I feel like that's a bit more in character. But yeah, the driver being the vampire, I don't think he is. I think he's a ghoul. A ghoul is basically someone who drinks the vampire's blood, but they don't die. So just the vampire allows them to have a little bit of blood that binds them to the vampire, and they're now their servant. I'm gonna say, wait, what about my career? So what you're saying is, who I have become must remain a secret. What about my job then? My career? Is it over? Just like that? And not necessarily, but you will need to step lightly. It goes without saying that you will need an explanation for your disappearance, and it will be a few more nights before I let you go it alone. You might be one of the kindred now, but that comes with some caveats. For one, sunlight burns us. That's why we rest during the day. You felt it. More like being dead than being dormant, isn't it? Some more folk-related threats are just legends or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water, even religious symbols don't repel us unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though, that's something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze, which under the right circumstances can often be the same thing. That's a reason to have somebody like my trusted driver, Gregory, making sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantage lies with daylight. How can you trust your driver? Do vampires watch each other's backs, so it's good to keep human friends? No, vampires don't watch each other's backs, I'm sure. But what do you guys think? I'm probably going to end this soon just because we've gone over a little bit, but I'm going to see if I can wait until she goes to sleep. Curious about the driver? Yeah, that she might explain what ghouls are a little bit better, but I think... Ooh, 2 answers here. Curious about the driver, good to keep human friends. Okay, human friends. Yeah, she might explain what ghouls are a little bit better than I just did. Am I right in thinking that having a human friend or two is necessary then? Or at least useful? In moderation, and best that they don't know your true nature. Also, I would say that subordinates are useful, but friends? I haven't had one of those for many years now. Our little sect supplies social interactions aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage friendships. Alliances of convenience to be broken at a whim? Yes, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty is to your sire, to your prince, and to the sect. Friends must remain a distant priority at best for us to maintain the masquerade and thrive as the years pass. With age comes authority. With it comes influence and power, if you wish to reach for them. She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've learned tonight. It still feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one you keep returning to is what your place in this new reality should be. The car stops. You are in the city in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings? Yes. My own apartment? Is it another parking lot room? Do I get a loyal servant? I kind of think that I should show a bit of gratitude to her and say it's neat, or... What do you guys think? So I'm thinking of the first one, but what do you guys think? Gratitude? Just say neat? Okay. I get my own apartment? That's neat. Consider it the first of many gifts that I'm able to grant in exchange for loyalty. Come upstairs. She leads you through a small hall with the night guard who greets Ms. Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Oh, that's cute. Inside are all the amenities you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room has a comfortable-looking bed and a thick steel door with several sturdy-looking locks but no windows. Okay, that's necessary. Well, how do you like it? Okay, yeah, again, I'm probably gonna show gratitude. This is great, thank you. What, can I choose another? Well enough, I guess. No, yeah, do you think I mean, you guys think that, I mean, it is cute, it looks cute. I think we should still show gratitude tonight, but what do you guys think? I mean, it's better than the parking lot. Yeah, be grateful. This is great, thank you. I'm glad. Make yourself at home. I mean, she just did give us a rent-free apartment, so you know. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I will come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors, just in case. Show gratitude first and we'll kill her later. She does go missing, and that is never explained in Shadows of New York, so maybe we'll get the explanation here. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly became a few shades dimmer. You inspect the kitchen hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food either. Feels strange that Qadir could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire, even only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. Mm-hmm. You see? Hidden side. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Hey! I like Columbo. Kojak reruns. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. President of the United States got himself out of trouble again. I'm not going to say anything. pundits start yelling over each other about things that seemed a little bit less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversations and worldview-shattering revelations. Yes, love Columbo. This does hit too hard. How many more before you finally understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for either. As you start to feel some tiredness that made you drift into the cold sleep last night, you settle in the back room. The bed is comforting. The lack of windows, less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun or a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your consciousness fades and you take the plunge into darkness again. Sinking, 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 sinking. And with that, I think we should end this stream. But I really enjoyed sharing this with you guys. Thank you for spending time here, Andre. You're so loyal. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, this is a really awesome story. They are coming out with more Vampire the Masquerade games that are like this. Of course, there's LA by Night, I believe, is one of them. They are also coming out with a new role-playing game as well, where you form your own coterie. And they introduce different clans, and that is more of an RPG-style fighting game, I believe. But yeah, this is all just a foray into Vampire the Masquerade mythology. So again, thank you all for joining tonight. I really appreciate you coming here, I really do. And we will see you guys next time. Bye!